Alright guys, sa mapagpalang araw sa inyong lahat, meron tayong reaction video dito kay ating Vice President Sara Duterte and versus in the right corner, ayan, Senador Hontiveros. Ating nagkainitan sa Senado, nagka-personalan na at sila nagbati ko sa isa't isa kung saan gagamitin ang kanilang budget funds. At ito ay isang reaction video ni Rob Trip. Don't forget to subscribe this channel, Rob Trip. And please watch. And no other further ado, let's go.
According to Joint Circular number 2015-01 issued by the COA, DBM, DILG, CGC, GCG, and DND, confidential funds refer to those expenses related to surveillance activities in civilian government agencies that are intended to support the mandate or operations of that agency. So, una pong tanong dito, Madam Vice President, which mandates of the Office of the Vice President will be supported by the aforementioned allocation of the confidential funds, Mr. Chair?
Chair, Your Honor, all of the projects of the Office of the Vice President use the confidential funds that is intended for the safe, secure, and successful implementations of programs, projects, and activities and engagements of me and all the satellite offices, including the central office of the Office of the Vice President.
Kanina po sabi nyo yung primary mandates ng office nyo in the next 6 years would be in support of the primary mandates of the OP. So, alin po sa mga primary mandates na yon as you conceive them in support of the primary mandates of the OP, alin sa mga primary mandates na yon ang masusuportahan or specifically gagastusan ng confidential funds na i-allocate ng Kongreso sa office nyo?
The constitutional mandate of the Office of the Vice President is only to be a reserve, a bench warmer, in the event of, I not want to mention it, but in the event that the President cannot discharge his functions. That is the constitutional mandate of the Office of the Vice President. Apart from that, all the other projects of the Office of the programs, projects, and activities of the Office of the Vice President will depend largely on the decision and discretion of the incumbent elected Vice President. So for my term, we decided on 3 permanent projects: the charter, the museum, and the permanent office and residence of the Office of the Vice President. And then we took on the projects that made the most impact when I was mayor of Davao City. These are the entrepreneurship program, the peace building in communities, the pagbabago advocacy campaign. All of these activities use confidential funds.
Mr. Chair, Madam Vice President, so nasagot nyo na yung follow-up question ko. Kung ibig nyo pong sabihin, lahat nito, starting with the bench warming and being a reserve, and then yung entrepreneurship program, yung peace building, yung pansarap, yung million trees, yung pagbabago advocacy, yung disaster operations center, yung libreng sakay, and yung binanggit nyong 3 permanent projects, the permanent office, the VP's museum, and the omnibus law or charter, bawat isa sa mga ito gagastusan ng confidential funds ng opisina nyo?
Yes. Mainly, the confidential funds, as I said, is for the safe, secure, and successful implementations of the programs, projects, and activities and engagements of the Office of the Vice President. In addition, Mr. Chair, Your Honors, in addition, there are times when the President is on official trips, travel abroad. I chair the executive committee, which is the caretaker of the Office of the Vice President. This is an additional dagdag trabaho sa lahat ng mga trabaho na na-mention ko po.
Of course, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice President, yung ibang items na binanggit ni Madam VP na gagastusan di umano ng confidential funds, specifically ng OVP, tulad ng sa DepEd, sa NTF-LCAC, sa CIMEO, pati yung Executive Committee pag wala si Presidente, malamang sa hindi may sariling confidential funds na hindi na ginagastusan ng confidential funds na hinihingi ng Office of the Vice President. So in broad terms po, saang mga activities na enumerated sa joint circular gagamitin yung confidential funds? Just to refresh our memory, dun po sa 2015 joint resolution na yon, confidential funds can only be used for the following expenses: purchase of information necessary for the formulation and implementation of programs, activities, and projects relevant to national security and peace and order, rental of transport vehicles related to confidential activities, rentals and the incidental expenses related to the maintenance of safe houses, purchase or rentals of supplies, materials, and equipment for confidential operations that cannot be done through regular procedures without compromising the information gathering activity concerned, payment of rewards to informers, and uncovering and preventing illegal activities that pose a clear and present danger to agency personnel or property or other facilities and resources under the agency protection, done in coordination with appropriate law enforcement agencies. So, saang mga activities po na ito ay gagastusan ng confidential funds ng office nyo, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, it varies. Not all the activities are the same for each day and each month. The liquidation of the confidential funds includes the enumeration of the uses of the the Office of the Vice President.
At dahil pasukan na naman
Alright,
sa school,
yan na
gagawa
ating,
tayo ng masarap na baon
napanood. At subaybayan po natin yan ng ating nagkainitan sila Hontiveros at BP Sara.
Funds report. The joint memorandum circular requires the confidential fund report submission to the Office of the Vice President, the Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the Commission on Audit. And we submitted the list of activities to these offices.
So just to clarify, Madam VP, since confidential funds refer to those agencies related to surveillance activities undertaken by civilian government agencies, ibig po bang sabihin na yung opisina ninyo will be gathering intelligence on certain subjects or entities in support sa inyong mandates o mga operasyon, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, that is correct. As an example, we did surveillance of complaints from constituents in Bulacan with regard to the selling of OVP assistance and the selling of tupad projects in Bulacan. And there was a surveillance operation that was run by the VP SPG for about a month, and we were able to apprehend the person, and we were able to successfully prosecute the case, and that person went to jail for ilang months?
6 months.
For 6 months.
I ask this because the National Intelligence Coordination Agency was established to direct, coordinate, and integrate national intelligence activities. And this includes the collation of intelligence gathered from various sources. So we'd like more information as to the intelligence operations of the OVP. Sa aling mga sources mag-gather ng impormasyon yung OVP? Kukuha ba kayo ng intelligence mula sa ating mga existing intelligence services tulad ng NICA o tulad ng DND at PNP?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, no. Intelligence starts with the communities and the stakeholders, and then if there are complaints, and then it is built up through intelligence and surveillance services, and then a dossier or report is started, and then it goes through levels through the Office of the Vice President and VP SPG. So we do not seek intelligence reports from other government agencies, but the intelligence reports starts from the ground in the communities that that are engaged by the Office of the Vice President. Yes, the confidential funds is used for the safe, secure, and successful implementations of the projects, programs, and activities and engagements of the Office of the Vice President.
Sino po yung subjects? Ano yung intentions at capabilities ng mga subjects? At paano tinetreto ng mga subjects na to yung mga operasyon ng OVP?
This is for the successful, safe, secure, and successful implementation of the projects, programs, and activities and engagements of the Office of the Vice President. If the question is the subjects on who are the sources, we cannot divulge who are the sources of intel information. We can just say that these are the stakeholders in the areas where there are engagements of the Office of the Vice President.
Hindi po sources, Madam VP, pero yung mga taong o grupong ginagatheran nyo ng opisina nyo ng intelligence.
Yes, those that are perceived to be threats in the successful, safe, and secure implementation of the PPAs.
So, dun sa sagot na ang VP-SPG coordinates with the PNP and AFP, ibig po bang sabihin ang OVP ang magre-recruit and train na mga operatives at ahente, or yung PNP at AFP ang magte-train sa mga operatives at ahente ng OVP?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, unfortunately, I cannot answer the question. The commander of the VP-SPG, we failed to include him in the list of the resource persons this morning.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Maybe if you can put your questions in writing, we could submit it to the Office of the Vice President, and then maybe, if possible, if they would, because some of these matters are quite sensitive, so you can give them in executive session, or you can give them in a sealed envelope in writing. That's at your pleasure, Madam Vice President. Yeah.
Alright, napakinggan natin ang ating nagkainitan na si Vice President Senator Hontiveros at si VP Sara Duterte. At maraming salamat sa inyong lahat and peace out.